Yo, what's up, YouTube? So, recording this video to give my thoughts on the new weapon that just barely got added to the game, the QBU. So, this gun's interesting. Basically, they took the Mini 14 and they shrunk its mag size down to 10 rounds, initial mag, 20 rounds with an extended mag, and they added a bipod to it. But, here's the big thing. I've been looking around, and I'm trying to figure out what the exact damage on the QBU is, right? Originally in the video they showed, like, I think the video they show of the QBU, the one that PUBG put out, was like 44 damage, right? Everywhere I've looked, it says this does 55 damage. I don't know if that's 100% true. If that's true, the QBU is actually better than what I initially even thought. I'd like to see, like, these are from a bunch of different sites that, like, you know, they pull the damage on different weapons. And the stats on it say that it's 55 from these sites that I'm seeing. Like, even on the PUBG wiki, it says it's 55. To give a comparison, the SKS is 53, the SLR is 58. So if it is actually 55, it's pretty freaking solid. Here's the reason why. It basically, I would say its recoil is very similar to the Mini 14. I use the QBU all day today, and well, a large portion of the day. I used it for like a bunch of rounds. We got like 5 wins with the QBU today. But yeah, I used the QBU and then I used the Mini. They're very similar. Very, very similar. They say that they have the same recoil. I don't know if they have the exact same recoil, but they definitely feel similar. But yeah, it takes 5.56 ammo. If it actually does 55 damage, that's pretty nuts. Even if it doesn't do 55 damage and it's more than the Mini, but a little bit less than the SKS, it's still a pretty good gun. Better than the Mini was. I don't think you need a 30-round mag. That's like the only downside to the gun. Like, if you compare it straight across from the Mini to the QBU, the only downside is the mag size. Like, starting off with just a 10-round mag is not that great. It's not that great. You need more than 10 rounds because since it's the damage that it does, here's the thing. There's 2 different stories to this. If it does more than the SKS, it's not that bad. But if it does less than the SKS, barely more than the Mini, then like having just a 10-round mag size is not that good. But it still has a 990 bullet velocity. We really need to figure out what exact damage it does, and I'm sure over time, within the next like week or so, we're gonna find out the exact damage it does because you'll see the like similarity across all the sites that track the stats in PUBG. If it does more than the SKS at 55 damage, that gun's actually really damn good. Really good. It's actually really good because it has a 990 bullet velocity. It has the bullet velocity of the Mini, but if it would be stronger than the SKS damage-wise, that's freaking nuts, actually. The recoil on it's manageable. If you're crouched, you can get off like a rapid-fire burst at somewhere like 100 meters and be pretty accurate. Going prone, obviously, you get to use the bipod, and the bipod significantly reduces recoil. So the bipod, basically what it does is it reduces almost all your left and right recoil, so you only have vertical recoil. So you could go prone. If there's a dude at like 100 meters, you could just like line it up on his chest and just unload, and you're going to be able to hit him enough times to probably kill him. If it's further than that, out past 100 meters, you're probably going to have to slow down your fire rate a little bit, but the recoil management with the bipod is pretty easy. It's very similar to the other guns, like any other guns, M249, DP, Mark 14. Whenever you go bipod with them, the main thing the bipod does is it makes it so there's not much left to right. It's just basically up and down recoil, so much easier to control. But yeah, after using it all day today, I mean, it takes a barrel attachment, it takes a mag, it takes a sight. Pretty good gun. Definitely not something you want to use within close range, but you can. So I was just soloing with the QBU only. So I had to use it in close range quite a bit to try to get like a really good feeling of the gun. The bullet, like your fire rate, it's not fast enough to the point where if you make a mistake, or if the guy doesn't like make a mistake, if you don't really outplay the guy in close range, he can easily beat you with something else like a QBZ or an M4 or an AK or a Vector. Like you just don't have the fire rate with that gun or the DPS to compete at close range. So in like a straight up battle, 1v1, if you have a QBU out close range and the dude's got a Vector, an AK, or an M4, he's probably going to beat you. Unless you hit like a headshot or something and he doesn't. What else did I want to say in the QBU? this is what I want to say. A lot of people have asked, yo, the QBU's got a bipod. They added it to Sanhok. They, you know, they're encouraging people to go prone and use it. Do you think this makes the game worse? Do you think this makes it worse? Like, do you think snakes are going to use this and wreck you with the QBU now that it has a bipod? Here's the thing about that. Do I think it makes the game worse? No, absolutely not. Do I think snakes are going to wreck me with the QBU? No. If I run into a snake in the game, I hope they have a QBU, and this is why. Like I just said, it doesn't have a good DPS at close range. If the person that was snaking instead of the QBU has a Vector or an AK, they have a way better chance of killing you because they can put out way more damage much quicker. The QBU, even if they're prone, they don't have that much recoil, but here's the thing. When you go prone with a Vector or an AK, you don't have that much recoil, especially with a snake, right? If the dude's, like, if you're a snake, if there's a guy snaking around, crawling around, and you're about to step on them, but you're, like, walking past them, you'd rather them have a QBU because the fire rate's not that good. Like, they're going to have to move around with a bipod and whatnot. It's just not that scary, right? You'd rather them have a QBU and be prone with a QBU than, like, prone with a Vector or prone with an AK. If they're further away and they go prone and they're firing at you, if you're good enough shot, you got a sniper, whatnot, you can get to cover and then just headshot them, right? It does have... The one thing that bipod is good for is, like, in the moments where you're running and you spot a guy and then you just, like, okay, I'm just going to go prone and laser him. That's the one thing. That's the thing about the bipod. It can be good when you spot people, like, out in the open, and if you're able to kill them fast. If the thing is, if you go prone with that bipod and you don't hit your shots, you miss your shots, you miss enough shots, and that guy's able to turn and spot you, if he's a good shot, good chance you're dead because you're stationary, you're prone, you're at risk, you're not moving, you know, easy shot, easy headshot. So remember that with the QBU. And yeah, I don't think it's ruined the game. I'm not worried about people snaking around with it. If anything, I hope they have that out. I hope that's the gun they're trying to snake around with because it's just not nearly as scary as something like an AK or a Vector. But yeah, main thought on the gun, very similar recoil to the Mini. Very similar recoil to the Mini. Smaller mag size, but it has more damage. If it has more damage than what the SKS, if it has the damage that these sites are saying with 55, which is a couple damage more than the SKS, then it's really good. Then it's like a really good gun because the recoil is just as easy, if not easier to manage than SKS, but it has more damage and more bullet velocity, which is nuts. And it has a bipod. Like, that's really good. So definitely better than the Mini, no matter what. And even if its damage is lower than the SKS, but higher than the Mini, like they've said, then it's still a very strong gun because it still has more DPS than or damage than the Mini had, and you have the fast bullet velocity. If it's higher, then obviously it's better than the SKS because the recoil is easier to manage, the bullet velocity is faster, and it has more damage. If it has all those things, if this damage is actually more than the SKS, it's I'd say even with the SLR when it comes to a non-crate DMR. I'd say it's even with the SLR. Like, just because of the bullet velocity, it's a laser beam, like 990 meters per second bullet velocity, like initial bullet velocity. That's fast, super fast. I mean, it's like the Mini, right? You can laser a guy. Like, there was today, flipping a dude at like 300 meters away and just like bop, bop, and just instant headshots. Almost feels like it's a hit scan gun. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the QBU. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Enjoyed hearing my thoughts on it. If you guys have any more questions, maybe leave them in the bottom of the video, and maybe I can answer them. But yo, thank you guys for watching. Laters.